Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. What
Welcome.
up, y'all?
You know what time it is, right?
Collective bargaining podcast time. That's what I time.
That's right. That's right. Welcome to the podcast, folks. If you are just joining us today, you have tuned into one of the premier places for basketball talk and more. So, welcome to the podcast. Um, I was expecting a lot more news coming through the NBA today, but we both noticed that it's been, I mean, apart from Stephen A ranting about Ben Simmons' interview, that was it. There's
There's
not much.
nothing.
Yeah, there's not much happening. I mean, there are games going on right now. Um, Mavs Heat still close. You got the Celtics playing well, blowing out the Sixers currently. You got the Cavs in a tight game with the Hawks, and the Grizz obviously doing damage against the Pelicans. Some good games, I would say. Some good
Yeah.
games. Um, in terms of the standings, things are pretty interesting as it stands right now. As I say, I love the East because the East is just, even though the top is sort of, I want to say, settled a bit between maybe the top two teams up there. Maybe not.
You think it's settled?
Well, I mean, for now, right? For now, until the All Star break. Let's put it that way,
Okay.
because it's
All right,
it's
all right.
really not much celebrate. I mean, you had separation. You have like a 2 game lead over the Cavs and Sixers.
Yeah.
That can change
Yes.
at any moment, right? COVID.
Man, 1 week and it's done.
Definitely. I think that can change things drastically. So, but you got the Nets. What's crazy right now is you have the Hawks who are picking up play right now, and the Hornets who made some good trades. I thought they had a good
Yeah.
picking up Montrez, right? Um, the Nets, again, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, how soon Katie can actually come back,
How soon Ben can play?
can actually start playing. We had a big trade, right? So
Yeah.
I think in fantasy, but I think going into this, you were probably thinking, man, he's going to probably suit up in maybe 2 weeks,
Yes.
roughly.
Yeah. I was
But-
giving him 2 weeks to complete that whole mental health check. Right?
But based on what I'm hearing with this no timeline stuff, that brings me some doubt. Now, what would be interesting is if we see some video of him in practice, at least trying to ramp up workouts, because it's not like to say he's not
He's
cleared
there.
for contact, right? So he can go straight to contact and actually start working out with Katie and the other guys behind the
Yeah.
scenes.
It's not a physical issue.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
a mental issue at this point.
Well, a lot of people are doubting that, according to Stephen A.
I mean, to be fair, right? I mean, you got to think about it. If you're going to claim that you have mental health issues, you can't just be, all right, I'm traded. Let's go to, I'm out of there. Let me suit up one time. You
Right.
got to milk it a little bit for like a week or
Right.
two to be like, all right, I had a week to adjust, and then I have another week to get ready. Let's play ball.
Yeah. How about New York, by the way? That's sitting
about 'em?
2.5 games outside of that playoff spot. You get them a chance to actually come in and do some damage there at all?
No. They're not gonna pass. They're not. Honestly, the Wizards. They didn't really get. I don't even know if they got. Anyway, they're not passing Wizards. They're not passing the Hawks. They're not passing the Hornets.
Because the Wizards, did the Wizards get stronger? Remember, they lost Beal, right? So the Wizards aren't.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
they're
that's
in
the
free
point.
fall, right? So
I forgot about that Beal's out. Yeah. So,
he's gone. So I don't think they're
it's
gonna
really
keep.
just the Hawks and the Hornets then.
Yeah. So it comes down to, couple questions, and you can answer yes or no, right? Are the Nets gonna keep falling? Are they gonna keep losing games as they are right now?
It depends. Um,
So
the
let's say
addition of
KD's out. Let's say
uh,
KD and Ben are out for the next at least 10 games, another 10 games.
ugh, that one's
Now,
tough.
KD has no timeline. Ben has no timeline, right? Now, I think KD can come back if it's a dire situation, but I think they're just looking at it like if we're within striking distance of the Celtics, then let's sit out a couple more games. So let's say 10 games, hypothetically speaking, right? They're
Yeah.
currently in eighth. They're currently, I want to say, three and a half games. Um,
No, one and
no,
a half.
2.5 games, 2.5 games
One.
behind the
No, one.
Celtics.
Oh,
No,
right. Yeah, behind
yeah,
the
behind the
Celtics.
Celtics,
Right.
and 1.5 behind the Raptors for the 7 seed.
Yes.
Ideally, you want to take 6, right? So
Yeah.
10 games out, you think they keep free falling? I don't think you see Ben Simmons before 10 games. I don't think so. And I mean, you're talking 10 games, maybe that's 2.5 weeks,
Yeah,
roughly.
probably.
So the question is, do they keep losing? I think they do. I mean, it's good
Yeah.
that you have Seth.
It depends on the schedule.
Yeah.
It would
Well,
really
we could
greatly.
look at we could take a look at it. That's the
uh,
beauty of it, right? So
Let's look at the
here's what.
schedule.
Let's go through the next 10 games here. They got the
Oh,
Knicks
Knicks.
next tomorrow.
All right, so they could win. They could win that.
I think the Knicks win that game.
But you're saying they could win it,
Yeah, they could win it. I get that.
right? So that's a
But
possible win,
this is interesting, right? So
yeah,
you look at the schedule. They got the Knicks, right?
right?
Then they got the Wizards that we
They could
just
win
talked
that
about.
too.
So they could win that one. The
Yeah,
Celtics, that's a big
that
game
one's that
with
one's tough.
that's a tough one. Then
Yeah,
they got the Bucks.
that's another tough one.
That's a tough one. So for me, they could lose. I think they take a L against the Knicks. I think they win versus the
Wow,
Wizards. I think they take a L against.
the
I'm just
Celtics.
based on the trajectory that they've had
Yeah,
and
yeah,
how
yeah.
they've played, right? I think they lose to the Bucks.
Yeah. Lose to the Raptors.
They lose to the Raptors
Oh,
twice.
that's in twice, 2 games. Wow.
That's
Okay.
back to back. They lose to the
Damn.
Heat,
Damn. They
and
have
then
the
they
Heat
play
next, and then they play the Celtics again. Jeez.
and then
Come
they play the
on.
Hornets. They play the
Oh
Hornets, the surging
wow.
Hornets,
And
and
then on
then the
March the 10th, they
Sixers.
play the Sixers.
This is a bad
Ooh, that's a
schedule, man.
tough
This is
schedule,
not
boy.
easy. This is not easy. And
That
you know,
is a tough schedule.
some people would be looking at March like, okay, the Mavs would be tough without KD and so on. You're hoping that by the 16th, a month from now, you have KD and Ben back by that time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The Trailblazers, people used to look at this on their schedule, fans, and be like, man, this is a W. But they've been beating. You know what? The Lakers could hold their head high because the Trailblazers actually beat Milwaukee the other night. Was it yesterday?
Yo, I
I think.
saw that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was a
So
good game too.
yeah, it wasn't bad at all. So, um, it's this is by no means an easy stretch for a team that's been struggling. And if I'm just saying, if they lose 3/4 of those games we just called out, right? That's the actual teams that are within, I want to say, striking
Striking
distance
range. Yeah.
or teams that they're trying to catch. This is not a good look. And I believe I saw a report that said out of the next 12 games, Kyrie's only available for like 4.
Yes, that is correct.
So even worse.
Yeah, so they may win those 4 games. May, because he can't play at the Knicks.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They've been losing even when he's present,
That's true.
right? So it is man,
One,
this is
2,
rough. I'm
3,
If I'm the
4.
Nets, I'm trying to. I'm obviously not rushing Katie back. We've seen what
Yeah.
rushing does to players, right? But man, I'm starting to sweat a bit here because this is by no means an easy schedule coming up for them, and that
That's
could be
tough.
treacherous, to be
That's
honest.
very tough, actually.
Yeah. Um, I'm looking at so for me here, I'm looking at. I think the Celtics are gonna for the next month. I think they're gonna dance around that 6th, 7th position. They may trade with the Raptors because the Raptors are starting to pick their game up.
Yeah.
Um, The Sixers may climb. I think the Sixers in another month may eclipse the Cavs if they hold consistency. So they
Okay.
may enter
Yeah.
that top three area. This could be very interesting, right? Because what you could be
Bro,
looking at is
this
a Nets situation where they face the Heat, the Bulls, or the Sixers in the first round, or
that's
even
gonna be a
Milwaukee straight off the
fantastic
bat.
first round.
Yeah, that's going to be crazy, crazy. Um, Now, question:
That's a crazy.
If
Yeah,
if they get bounced in the first round, or worst case scenario here, we could start
right.
talking that based on the schedule.
That they
You
get
just don't get
they make
KD
the
and
playoffs.
Ben back, and you float outside of that top 10 area, right? Now you're in a race to see if you could buy a play-in
To
spot,
play in, right?
right? And you're still trying to gel while Kyrie is still part-time. I'm
Okay.
telling you, man, that's a nightmare scenario. It
Now you
almost
see,
reminds
because
me of the Lakers last year where they all injured and then they came back with like 3, 4 games. It was like a week left
yes,
and
and they
thought
came
they
all
could,
together. Yeah.
and they got, honestly, it came down to the last minute against the Warriors, right? In playing.
Yeah.
So anything can happen here. That's the crazy thing about all of
That's
this.
it's very interesting.
So it's,
Um,
yeah,
the thing is, and I think we've been saying it all. Well, I know for sure. I've been repeating it all season. The
yeah,
key to really reaching like the finals
yeah.
or even the playoffs is consistency,
It is. It
and
is. It is.
and they don't have. They haven't had consistency. It's just like the Lakers. They haven't had
Yeah.
any consistent people out playing,
No.
right? So you can't say, all right, well, me and this guy gel together. Look at the James Harden was there since last season. They owned the big three,
Yeah.
only played 16 games together.
Yep.
16.
Yep.
Granted, their record was 13-3, which is
Yep.
crazy, crazy,
Is
right?
yeah. No,
But it's they played only 16 games, and now Ben is out, KD's out, Kyrie is part time. I gotta say part time,
yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
so the team basically has to learn how to play without them. Then when they come back, they gotta learn to play with them. And
Exactly.
then when Kyrie is there, they have to learn to play with Kyrie, and then they have to learn to play without Kyrie.
Absolute madness.
So
Absolute
yeah,
madness. Yeah. It's a bad situation for the ball club. I
it,
mean, on paper, the team makes sense right now. I think more than
yeah,
it did before. But
does.
I just don't see it working out too well for them.
And I mean, the thing is, they can. They're talented enough that they could win games to get into the buy-in,
Yeah.
the
Absolutely.
play-in spot, right? The play-in spot.
Absolutely.
The only thing is would Kyrie be able to play in the play-in spot?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all you have
It's
to ask.
yeah.
No, it's
You know,
tough.
something I noticed too. The East, in terms of the general teams and their away records, they're not very impressive.
No,
The Heat are 18-14. They're the number one seed. 15-13 for the Bulls. 17-13. I'm just gonna call out basically the top eight. 18 and
right?
10. I mean, basically the Sixers have the best away record at 18-10. Everyone from there is at least 12 um, to 13 losses and up, and that to me says that we're gonna see a lot of back and forths in
Yeah.
the playoffs, especially because teams are just not gonna be able to get those away wins to take control of a series. It bodes well for if you have, and that's why I said we are gonna see some fireworks because you may see some non-traditional teams holding the home court advantage,
Yeah,
right,
it's gonna
coming
be
into
interesting.
this.
There's gonna be a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
upsets.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
gonna be called upsets, but really and
Yeah,
truly,
yeah.
it's not really an upset.
No, because you see it coming. I mean, the numbers tell you a lot of
Yeah,
of pointers here going into the playoffs, right? And this. Let me check the West, man, because I want to see
I know
how the West is
the West is
situated.
not as exciting as the East. It's
No,
exciting,
it's
but it's
but
not as
no,
exciting
it's
as the
not the
East.
same. It's not the same.
No, see, it's not.
Honestly, if LeBron was not,
It's a
for me at least, if he was not in the West, I would not be paying attention to the West. I'm sorry. Never been a fan of the Western Conference, Kings, Lakers,
uh,
Utah, Portland, all these, playing in a completely different time zone, like 4 you're over here and you're like, no, 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 no. I don't have time to stay up after, because those Lakers games with Kobe and so
man,
on, right? They used to come on at like, when you're in Grenada is
11,
even
man.
worse because you're
It's
2 hours ahead of me,
11,
right?
man.
Worse
Yo,
than that.
these games come on 11:30
It's
p.m.
worse. Yeah.
I pick up like a quarter, maybe the first half, and I'm like, yo, I'm just
Yeah, yeah. No,
it's
no,
horrible.
it's pretty bad. Like, even out here, so I could imagine if you're 2 hours ahead of me, a Lakers game will come on at like 10. So that's at like midnight when you have
Yeah,
daylight savings,
yeah,
right? And then you're
easily.
looking at 3 hours. So, you know, 1 o'clock the
Listen,
game's finishing. No, I'm sorry, man. I don't care who's
bro,
playing.
on Kobe's last game,
Yeah.
it was a late game. I fell asleep for
Wow.
two
Wow.
quarters. I fell
Yeah,
asleep for
that
2 quarters. I was
wow.
lucky enough to wake up in the third quarter where he
Wow.
started to do
Go
something, and
off.
I
Yeah.
followed in the
Yeah.
fourth. Yeah, and in the fourth. Otherwise, bro, I was I
You're
was
gonna catch that
struggling.
on YouTube or Sports Center.
Yes,
One of the two. That
I
would have
was
been it.
struggling. I have to
No, no,
tell you how late the games are.
yeah, it's crazy. Um, so right now, in the West, I mean, completely different story, of course. The
Yeah,
Suns are doing damage at home and away. I mean, they have a
yeah.
total, 10
No,
losses total on
no,
the
you have
season, right?
10 losses, man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So
9 wins over the last 10 games.
yeah,
What?
yeah. I still see an upset on them coming up, but we'll talk about that.
Maybe in the conference finals or something.
Yeah, yeah. The Warriors. So the Warriors are 11 losses. The Grizzlies have a very strong away record. Um, and from there, really, it's 13 losses, 15 for the Nuggets. The Timberwolves are 17, not very good away. Um, Everyone from the 7th seed and back has a very bad record.
A
Yeah,
losing record.
yeah, yeah.
The
So
thing is about the West, though, it's like it's a little bit more concrete because you can see, like, all right, the Lakers are in ninth right now. It's on 26-31, and they're like 2 games behind the Clippers.
yeah,
The Blazers are 2.5 games behind the Lakers.
yeah,
See that big gap? If the Lakers pick up a little momentum, they could easily just slide into maybe seventh,
yeah. I think 7th. I think
right? Seventh is probably the best I
I
could see
think
for
for
them.
now, I think right now,
Yeah,
yeah, you're right. I mean, there's still a lot of games left, but because
yeah,
they
it
made
is,
no
but
moves,
it's just the
no
and they're
moves,
waiting for the buyout market.
and they can't. But you see, the problem with them is all season they haven't been able to put together back to back 3 wins in a row, any sort of
Yeah,
stretch. I think there was one stretch where LeBron was heating up and they were doing well, and
and then
then
somebody
that
got
was
injured.
I think they started playing him at center, and it's like teams immediately just figured out, just load up the
Yeah,
big men and just put them to rest. But
simple.
yeah, at this stage, yeah, it's going to be interesting for them to see. But the Trailblazers, in a one-game playoff against the Lakers,
Ooh. It's
that
possible.
that
It's
would
possible.
be interesting. That
It
would
is
be
possible.
interesting. I
It's
think
possible.
the Lakers beat the Timberwolves if they ended up playing them. I
Yes.
think the Clippers lose to the Timberwolves if they end up playing them.
I think the Timberwolves are going to drop.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I think the Timberwolves are going to drop.
Yeah. Um. Yeah.
That's just
That.
my thought.
Yeah. I mean, they've been. What's their current? I mean, that's
They're
another team that hasn't been really able to put together a solid streak,
30
right?
and 30 and 27.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, we don't have
Um.
much games left. We have like 20 something games
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the
left.
thing. What fools you too as you go into the All Star break? You think, well,
Thinking
it's
it's halfway.
halfway. It's
No.
not. It's not. It's really just a break, and then you have a home stretch, and that's it.
It's really like You running the 400-meter and you coming around the bend.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
legit. That's what it
yeah.
is. You
You
coming up
have
the bend
March,
for the last 100 meters,
you have March, and then practically
and then
playoffs.
and you
Yeah,
better kick
yep.
it.
And then because the finals happen early June, right? So
Yes.
basically, and the playoffs will start early April, I think. Right?
Yeah.
And practically everybody's up here at least is focused on college ball in March. Trying to
Right.
do
March
brackets,
Madness.
etc.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe
March
we could
Madness.
even do brackets too. We might have to do some brackets up in this, see what's going on. But yeah, Pelicans, I think they're too far out at this point. But
I mean,
as I
it's always
said,
a
you never
chance, but it's
you
always a
never know.
chance.
There's an outside chance, right? There's an outside
Yeah.
chance, especially if they kept losing. But yeah, I as I said, they're in a battle for if they were to eclipse the Trailblazers. If I'm the Lakers, I'm trying to avoid the Pelicans because of how they're structured. If that team gels, that's a problem. That could be a problem. You
Yeah.
you definitely want to be the 8 or 7 seed because you want 2 games to stay alive in the play-in. You do not want to be in that one game playoff.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
For real.
you definitely want to be able to take a loss. So we'll see how that happens. Yeah, no, apart from that, this should be pretty straightforward. I mean, I think the Suns are going to remain where they are. I think the Warriors are going to, fight a little bit with the Grizzlies. Um,
Yes.
and
They're on two
maybe,
games back. So.
yeah, apart from that, I think, no, I think everything kind of stays the same, maybe up to the 6th seed. You might have some exchanges between the Mavs and the Nuggets, but I think that's where they stay ultimately. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility the Jazz could drop a little bit, maybe to fifth. But apart from that, I don't really see much changing. The Warriors are still finding themselves; they're getting better every day. They're still waiting for Draymond.
yeah,
Draymond is the key. They don't win the championship without Draymond.
yeah,
Um, so it's going to be big for them for
yeah,
Draymond to
absolutely.
come back. So yeah, they're gonna be that. I think that 1, 2, 3 is pretty much set in the West.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just a matter of I think even 4, 5, and 6 is set, but set in a way where they could probably switch around a little bit,
right.
right? And then 7, 8, 9, yeah, they're definitely gonna switch around because the
Yeah,
Clippers aren't great. They just lost Powell as well, I
yeah,
think.
they did right. He's
Yeah,
he's out for how long, by the way?
I can't remember. I remember seeing that he was out, but they did. I don't remember seeing a timetable
Right.
on a report I got earlier this week. I don't remember seeing a timetable.
Something I think we probably need to dedicate some time to is Dennis Schroeder, man. His journey, because
He was
he's
almost a Laker again.
I honestly have never seen a guy get caught out. I mean, maybe Boogie's up there with him too, but this guy missed out on. You're talking the difference between 80 million versus a
Five.
veteran's minimum. I mean, it's just incredible.
That's great. I mean,
At the time, yeah,
and it wasn't even due to injury.
no,
See, at
no,
least Boogie's only you can say make the case. All right, he got injured. We were going to give him the max, but we wasn't sure how he's going to come back from this injury as a big
exactly,
man.
exactly. But he rejected the contract offer and ended up with nothing at the end of the day. I mean, he still got a veteran's minimum, right? But
Yeah,
at
that's
the
some
end of
money.
the day, that was it. Nothing else. That's it.
You could have been in LA right now eating your
Yeah,
80. It was 88. It was 88 mil or something like that.
practically.
Yeah, right. For the next
So
4 years.
it's baffling. It's baffling.
Huh.
But we may have to cover why why he rejected the contract and why he hasn't been able to get, because of his play, maybe a better contract as well.
Well,
Um,
let's not forget it was similar to like how most people talk about Ben Simmons played in the series. That
yeah,
last series he played for the Lakers, he was god awful. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
Ben wasn't that bad,
But
but
he was
he
not.
was bad.
But he wasn't 100%, right? Because he was coming back
He
from an
wasn't.
injury, right?
Yeah,
Well, at
but
least that's
that's what they
from
said.
my understanding, that's what it was, right? I mean, and ultimately, I mean, that was a high bar to play at, right? Because you're talking about what they were looking for was a younger version of Rondo, and I
Yes.
just don't think he was ever going to meet those expectations.
No,
I think,
he was more of a scoring point
yeah.
guard.
And when he's not scoring, he's terrible at the position because
Yes,
he's not a good distributor. He's not a top distributor of the ball. So you're not going to
mediocre.
get that elite type play from him. Um, I, you know, I just wonder maybe Rob Pelinka can give a back uh, an explanation at least regarding why he
This
broke that team up, that playoff team up,
the
the
same Rob
championship team
Pelinka
up. Yeah,
that said he spoke to LeBron and AD about stuff, and they
yeah.
said that he didn't.
I honestly, I am
That's
lost
interesting.
as to why that initial team with McGee and everyone else
Listen,
was broken up. It's just, I can't believe it.
he
You're
thought
coming
he had
straight
some
off,
upgrades coming in.
man.
He legit thought he had upgrades coming in. He was trying to go a little younger, blah. I mean, but I was like, but you just won with them. At least you see what they can do for another season. You
Yeah,
don't break up something
no, not
just
so
for
many
breaking it
pieces.
up sake,
Not
right?
so many
If you can
pieces, right?
if you can keep the pieces, you keep them together, and if you could probably get like one major piece, like in a
You
trade or something, then you go for it.
you have to, and
But you keep the
um,
pieces together.
yeah, it's just a disaster really going into the
It's
season, and
it's honor.
um,
How
and
do I
it's
rate it? I'm trying to see if I rate it as when you remember when the Bulls won the second three-peat, and they didn't want to bring back Phil.
it's it makes you wonder because that team had a lot of areas where they had strength and they were
Yeah,
deep. You had Rondo coming off the bench doing Rondo things, shooting the three pointer, lights
exactly,
out. You had
exactly.
McGee and Howard sharing the minutes.
And
You
they
know,
know they knew their role.
yeah, yeah. So you had guys that seemed happy on top of that. You had McGee doing
Yes,
his videos,
yes,
and everything. Guys had chemistry, which was is major, right? And you break that up. You have one of the guys, the best defensive guys coming off the bench in Caruso. I think it's one of the worst. It has to be up there. Top 5 worst GM moves ever. When you look at
dude,
collectively what he did to the roster,
dude.
you have to take
I,
accountability for that.
I honestly think that he was getting most of his advice from Bean. Like, I honestly think that he used to go to Kobe and was like, Kobe, do you think I should keep here, or do you think I should trade for this guy? Honestly, because that's like was kind of like his best friend kind of thing. So I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
do you think I should keep this player? Do you think where you think we should go? And ever since Kobe left us, right, he hasn't shown that he could be like this great. He's a numbers
GM.
guy.
Yeah,
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 he's a
yeah.
numbers guy. He knows how to
Yeah.
work the numbers for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can see that he knows how to work the numbers because he got those different contracts to work and all that stuff. But as a NBA GM, he hasn't really shown that he has that knack for it.
It's puzzling some of these moves to be honest. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, let the season play out. Now that these
Yeah,
guys know this is their roster, this is what they have to work on. I think they have to put some pressure on Vogel to let
to be
Stanley
better.
Johnson get more minutes. You have to balance out Westbrook. You have
Uh,
to really. I mean, it's sad to see such a great organization. I hate to see great organizations suffer. But hopefully, we do see some recovery. There were some bright signs against the Warriors, so
Yeah, and the
let's
thing
see
is
what
not it's just
happens.
not about suffering, right?
Yeah,
Because you could see suffering because you're trying to rebuild, but
yeah.
it's suffering with guys that are supposed to be good,
Guys that
and
know
you're
how to
not
win.
going anywhere.
Guys that know how to win, and you're not doing that. So at the end of the day, you have to change the way that you're currently running things. But as I said, the last game was a good signal. You went
Yeah,
down the wire with a Warriors team. So I mean, let's
that was
see.
a really good game.
It was entertaining. So
Yeah,
I think that spells well for the Lakers. And the thing is, with a team like this, you sense victory. You sense that something is working. I think that's what they need. They need a stretch of games, even if you're winning and losing, but they need to
Right.
be close. They need to be against good teams for you to know and build confidence in yourself. So they're watching the Warriors have been good all season. Now yes, the Warriors have gone through a little stretch where they were horrible, but at the same time, I think they're playing good basketball right now.
Yep.
And it took 33 from Clay, to pull away, right? So I
Yeah.
think overall, I think they've picked up a few things from that game, and I think maybe they can make a run. I think that's
Well,
going to be the
I
key
hope
thing.
so.
Can they, over the next 3 weeks, pull together at least a 5 game win streak? That's going to be the interesting thing, to
And
see.
I don't even think they need to be five. They could say they
Yeah.
could be win 4 out of the 5, or the next set. Like they need to win like at least the next 7 out of 10 games.
And if we were to look at the games they have, right? You got the Jazz tomorrow. You got
Tough
the
game.
Clippers next week, right?
That
Which
shouldn't be
I
that
think
tough.
is that's winnable,
So
right?
it's winnable. It's winnable.
Yeah. The Pelicans, I think that's winnable.
Winnable.
The Mavericks, I think that's winnable, right?
That's winnable.
Clippers again, that's winnable. Then you got a big matchup against the Warriors, right? And then you have the Spurs.
That's
And then you
winnable too.
have that is winnable. I mean, and then the Rockets, which to me again is winnable. The Wizards, winnable, right? The Suns, I don't think it's winnable.
So look at that, just like that. That's 7 out of 10.
That's 7 out of 10. So
That's all you need.
if they don't go 7 out of 10, I think they're out in the play-in. I honestly,
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
If they go 5-5, they're definitely have to be playing. They're gonna be playing. They're gonna be fighting to
yeah.
play.
And
Yeah.
by the way, I just want to point out to you, right? Let's just call out the rest of games that they have. So they have the Raptors, then the T-Wolves, then the Raptors again, then the Wizards again, then the Cavs,
Yeah.
then the Sixers, then Pelicans, Mavs, Jazz, Pelicans, Nuggets, Suns, Warriors, Thunder, Nuggets. That's a favorable when I look at that, that's a favorable schedule. There's no Miamis, there's no Bucks, there's no Nets, there's nothing on there really.
Yeah,
It's
there's
just the
nothing
two.
too much.
Yeah, they have 2 games versus the Suns, and they have 1 game I think versus the Warriors. That's the toughest on their schedule. Other than that, they don't play anyone above the 4 seed in the West.
It's true.
There's no Grizzlies. There's no, I mean, yeah, the Jazz. That's it.
Yeah.
So if the Lakers can't put a run together in this, then I don't even want to see them in the playoffs, man, to be honest. They don't deserve to be there. Who needs to see bad
Listen,
basketball, man? And as I
they
said,
should.
I'd rather not see LeBron damage his legacy, than and just rest, man. Just rest for the off season and get it back together again. Right now he's on precious legs, man. You just don't know. So,
It's.
um,
I don't even know how to describe it. Like
yeah, no, it's weird. It's one of
it's
those
it's
things.
it's like it's like they and the Nets are on parallel. They're on
Yeah,
par on two different sides of the spectrum, right?
yeah, yep,
Like they need to win games. They need to go up. The only difference is the Nets don't have their star players, whereas the Lakers have their star players,
yep.
and they can't
So,
win.
by the way, Charles Barkley said that his current contract will probably be his last. He'll probably retire at that
Damn,
point.
Charles retired.
Yep. So
Looks
his contract
sad.
expires, I think, 23-25 season. So that's interesting. But no, actually, what am I saying? 23-24 season. So that's gonna be April probably, or because they finish even before the playoffs, right? So I think he's
Yeah,
done probably in March of 24. I mean, that'll be something else, man, because that inside show is just full of character, man. So
just
to see that,
phenomenal.
yeah. And Charles is one of the pivot points. You know what I mean? So I have a feeling if that happens, they make like I mean, Ernie is probably older than all of them, so it'll be interesting to see if he's even around at that time, right? So, but eventually you'll probably see like a set change. Probably Shaq will be the one left with that, him and Kenny to some
And
degree,
Kenny.
and they'll probably look
Yeah.
at maybe adding a WNBA representative and maybe a new star that retired recently. I know Wade bounces around, but
Don't
so
forget
maybe
Draymond's there as well. He just
yeah,
started,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
So he comes in and out, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So no, it'll be interesting. But yeah, it's kind of sad to see. Sad to see. But he is what 61 now, so he'll be at that point 62, 63.
Yeah, that's a good time
So
to yeah.
yes, so interesting, man. Sometimes I forget it's 2022 already right now,
Bro.
but crazy, crazy. So yeah, it's I think it's really gonna be an interesting season. I think the East for me is where my TV is gonna be tuned into, really going
Man, I'm gonna be
into the
tuned into
season.
everything. But the
Yeah,
East is gonna be exciting
yeah, it's gonna be fire, fire,
because
straight fire.
the weird thing is, right, when you look at the East,
Yeah,
they got so many teams that I want to be in.
yeah,
Because I,
yeah,
I love the way the Cavs are playing. All right, cool. So you got the big teams like the Heat, the Bulls, 76ers, Bucks, right?
yeah,
Nets. That's five teams that I definitely want to be in there. Then you have like the Hawks, who I want to be in there, and they're playing good ball, and I think should be in there. All right,
yeah,
Hornets, right? You know, Raptors playing good ball. I didn't think they would be up here, but they're playing good ball as well. Celtics came out of nowhere because they were playing like shit for the whole first half of the season, right? So that's four teams now. So now we're on nine,
yeah. It,
and then
it's
the Cavs came out of nowhere.
yeah, yeah. So it's gonna be. I think the Cavs will do damage. I expect an upset from the Cavs, to be honest. At least second round, get to the second round and see where you can go from
I
there.
mean,
But
as of right now, they play the Celtics.
yeah,
So you see them beating the Celtics?
um, not if the Celtics are completely healthy. Um, I mean, it's tougher than it seems, right? Because the Cavs have beaten. Here's the thing: the Cavs have beaten Milwaukee straight up. You know,
Yeah.
they've put a beating on teams like that, and they deserve to be where they are. They've proven, from their just to be clear, the Cavs have. Um, I'm just checking here. I mean, remember we talked about the away records, right? That's gonna come into play here big time. I think when looking at this, if they played the Celtics, it would be a good series to look at. Um, Garland, those guys. If they get back Larry Makinen, who's been out for like a couple weeks now,
Weeks. Yeah.
and they've still
He's always
held
injured.
their, yeah. So I think they could pose some problems even for the Celtics. I don't think that's a given for the Celtics. Um, the Celtics are not good away, and that can play well into their hands. Now, maybe we need to look deeper into why the Celtics. I know their two stars have been kind of in and out, right? So Jalen Brown, especially, he's missed a lot of games this season. So,
Yes.
um, so really, and that's the thing about this season. It's so hard to gauge because of the
Listen,
time missed from players and the teams. It's just unbelievable, really and truly. So, um, but yeah, yeah. I mean, look at oh my goodness. See what the Celtics are doing to the 76ers? Is Embiid playing?
he is. He
Ooh.
is playing.
Oh my
He is
goodness.
playing right now. It is crazy.
And Jalen Brown's doing most of the damage. Well, they both are. 26 and 11 and 29, 3 and 7. Wow. And in 26 minutes, practically, and 27
26
minutes.
and 27 minutes.
So that just shows you, man, 49 points. Sheesh. Sheesh. And I'm sure they're
I guess,
doing it at the same time on the court, right?
yeah, most likely.
Oh my goodness.
I guess they'll say that they need Harden back.
Yeah, they do. Because where's that scoring coming from? If you look at it, the next you have
Where
Embiid at
was the
19.
scoring coming from before? All they did was lose Seth.
Well, Seth was what, 14, maybe 10
Okay,
to
10,
14
10,
points a
10 to
night.
14 points a game. Okay,
So,
so that's 68. So
but yeah,
what is it?
Tobias has no excuse to have 4 points though. I
No,
mean,
that's no
um,
excuse.
so yeah, it's bad. It's bad right now. That's a big blowout because we're talking 3 minutes left in the third quarter.
In the third quarter,
Um,
the game is over. And they
93.
40 points, dog.
Yeah,
40.
this is where you bench your stars, make sure they're not getting injured. So,
Yeah, because they don't need
I
to
would,
be there.
yeah, they don't need to be out there on the court.
Game's over.
Yeah, wow, I didn't
I mean,
expect that.
you can come back from 40, but it's unlikely.
Unlikely, unlikely. Um, no, this is interesting, man. But as I said, some good games on tonight. I'll probably try and tune in, to a few here. But yeah. So let's. How about we get another bet in, man? I'm trying to take
Oh.
this streak up to 4 wins. Let's get that bet. So um,
You got
yeah.
jokes, huh? You
So
got
I'm
jokes.
telling you, man, you gotta keep this streak going. So
All right.
um, so we got Magic. I'm gonna take the Hawks here.
I'll take the Hawks here.
Knicks. I'm going with the Knicks.
Ah.
Yeah, you just said they could win that game, so why not
Oh,
take them?
I did,
There
I
you
did, I
go.
did,
There you go.
I
You stuck on
did,
that one. That's why I said it
I
so quick.
did.
Yeah,
I did.
yeah. Wanted to tie you into that one for
You did.
sure.
Well,
All
think you're
right.
smart, eh?
So you got
Wizards
that.
and Pacers.
Wizards,
Ooh.
Pacers. Give me the
Ugh.
Pacers. Give me the Pacers.
This one's tough. This one is tough. They got a new team. No Beal though. So that means Kuz is gonna be a scorer. They got no Spencer. Okay, let's go Pacers for real.
All right. Pistons, Celtics. Give me the Celtics.
Celtics.
Blazers, Grizzlies. Give me the Grizzlies. Hesitation. Wow.
Grizzlies, yeah, Grizzlies.
All right. Spurs, Thunder. Give me the
I got
Give me the
Spurs.
Spurs. Raptors, T Wolves. Give me the Raps.
Raptors, T Wolves, Raptors, T Wolves, Raptors, T Wolves, Raptors, T Wolves. Give me the Raps.
All right. Kings, Bulls. Give me the Bulls.
That's obvious. Bulls.
Rockets, Suns. Give me the Rockets. Suns. Sorry.
Oh, I was about to. I was like, what?
I'm not handing out victories like that, man.
Yeah,
No way.
you just
No
give it
way.
away. I mean, I take
Wa-
the Suns too. I'm not just
Warriors, Nuggets.
Oh, this one's good. Let's do Nuggets.
Wow. Give me the Warriors. Yes. This
Let's
is
do
easy
Nuggets.
money. Easy
Let's do
money
it.
right now. Lakers, Jazz.
I got a Jazz.
Give me the Lakers.
Oh wow.
Give me the Lakers. Yep.
Okay.
Give me the Lakers. Yep.
That might be the game I come back on.
Let's see. Let's see. Lakers
That might
better
be the
not
game I
disappoint, man. They better not disappoint.
They've been disappointing. They've been disappointing
Trust.
all year. What are you
Trust.
talking
That's all they've been doing, man.
about? Disappointing all
That's
year.
all they've been doing. All right. So I like my chances here. We'll see who wins that.
I don't like my
And get
chances
things
here.
moving. But definitely, I think Thursday tune in to see who's going to be drinking what. We'll get to the bottom of this.
That we shall.
Some good games, but ultimately, I think I get my fourth in a row. So let's see how that
Fourth
goes.
is
It
third.
fourth? Is it third?
No, it's going for third. It's going for third.
Going for the
You're gonna tie
three-peat
it.
then.
You're gonna tie. You're gonna tie.
Yeah, going for the three-peat. All right, cool. Man, yeah, that sucks. All right, cool. I'm gonna go for the third, and then try to take things up from there. Turn it up, break some records.
You're gonna stop you in your tracks.
All right. I hear that. All right. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in. Definitely. And I think we're gonna have a lot on the plate coming up pretty soon here.
Yeah.
In terms of basketball, things are gonna heat up. We got prep for the All-Star game this weekend coming in, so stay tuned as we discuss the All-Star game, some of the new rules, new games, what to look out for, the
Facts.
schedule, players, that type of
Everything.
stuff. So we'll have a lot to talk about then. Apart from that, stay ready, stay tuned in, and yeah, just stay with us. Share the podcast whenever you can, and we'll keep entertaining. All right.
Don't be scared to join us live, guys. Don't be scared.
Don't
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 fall,
don't.
don't be Twitter fingers now. You ain't got
No,
no
no.
Twitter fingers.
That's right. That's right.
Say it with your say it with your chest.
All right, man. So, are we gonna have Mr. Han
No,
on
no
the
hand
show?
today.
No hands.
No
All
hand.
right, all right, all
No
right.
hand
I
today.
was just
No hand
thinking.
today.
I was thinking your drink when you got a drink.
That's
On
probably on
Thursday after you
Thursday.
lose.
That's
All
maybe
right, all
on
right. So you admitting that you're
maybe
gonna take the L, right?
maybe on Thursday. I ain't admitting nothing. Now. Maybe on Thursday.
All right, man. I got it. All right. Well, let's tune in to see, man, this Thursday. All right. Same time. You know what it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Take
Peace.
care, guys.